Hi everyone, before we get into the story, I just wanted to take a minute to talk about today's sponsor, Skillshare. Now I'm sure many of you have heard of Skillshare before, but if you aren't familiar with it, let me explain. Skillshare is a place to get inspired, learn new skills, and put them to work in impactful ways. And with thousands of online classes and members across 150 countries, you'll be sure to find whatever you're really looking for. With 2022 just starting up, what better than to turn over a new leaf and make this a year of learning new things, overall growth, and embracing your creative side? For myself personally, I've been trying to discover new creative outlets to help better the videos that you watch every day. I've been trying to learn piano over the last month or two, and I'm making solid progress. My goal with it is to provide some spooky, backing audio to the stories that you all enjoy. And with it, Skillshare's tutorials help me break it down into an easy-to-digest format, and it allows me to learn at my own pace and not feel rushed or under stress to perform. If Skillshare sounds like something you would be interested in, there will be a link down in the description below. The first 1,000 people to use this link will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Again, the link will be down below in the description box, and the first 1,000 people to use it will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Thanks again to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. Seriously, again? I grimaced at the phone rumble, turning over in my bed to look at the sleep cycle clock as I pulled the phone closer to my face. 3:02 a.m. Cloudy outside. No breeze. Christ, I barely slept. I live in a suburbia part of town. We usually get drunken hats who forget to look for common identifiers of their homes and just ring their doorbells expecting a roommate, a spouse, or a family member to let them in. Sometimes it's a prank spurred on by bored and/or drunk teenagers during the spring break period. And occasionally, just every now and then, it's something else. My condo has a large set of steps going up to the property, wooden decking with various bits of furniture, including a hammock and some ornamental birds adorning it. My prized blue flamingo, Barry, sits just in view of the doorbell camera, a trusty guard if there ever was one. The reason that I got the dang camera installed was because of Barry, funnily enough. I don't know if it was wildlife or some idiot, but someone had pulled him away from his perch and threw him into the bushes in my yard, scratching up his paint and going for the eyes. I figured it may have been someone looking to case the area and trial the scene to see if I reacted. But I'm a heavy sleeper most nights, so the camera was a good decision. Keeping one eye closed so I could go back to sleep, after inspecting the camera, I flipped it open to the app. I have one of those Nest Hello cameras. They've got some crazy field of vision, and they work well in the daylight, even if the nighttime view of mine is a little grainy at times. Some weird screen tearing happens around now when I look at the footage. No clue why. I look at the screen and, sure enough, nothing is out of place. The furniture is still there, hammock is still swinging, and Barry is standing dutifully at the door. I'm about to close the app and curse some weird glitch for waking me, when it hits me and my sleepy eye snaps open as I turn over to look clearly. There's no breeze out tonight. Then why is my hammock swinging? Furthermore, Barry is positioned to look out at the yard. I do it as partly an aesthetic thing, and symbolically, he's the guard of the house. So why is he looking at the camera? It unsettles me, even if he is just an inanimate object. I feel sympathy towards him as much as I do fear in this moment. This isn't special, of course. I packed bonded with my Roomba when I found out it gets scared during thunderstorms. But the point remains that Barry could not move himself. Then who did? I close the app and take a moment to steady my nerves. I've always been a nervous wreck at the best of times, and I didn't spend money on therapy to get past trauma for nothing. I grabbed my stuffed animal and rocked myself carefully until I could slow my breathing. There is a person at your front door. No, no way, no. I ball my hands into fists and smack my temples an even number of times in frustration before I hold them down and, tears in my eyes, breathe once more. I remind myself that I'm in control, then take another tentative look at the app, feeling my skin crawl as it loads for an incessant amount of time, letting my mind wander once more. The camera looks out into my driveway and the adjacent road. Directly opposite is the McPherson house, and to the right of them is a small clearing into the woods surrounding our suburb. It's vast and thick. God knows why anyone would go in there. You could get lost for days, possibly permanently if you're like me, and have a minimal sense of direction. I've spent so many nights afraid that I would wake up in there one day and struggle to get home, succumbing to the elements, or encountering something in there that saw me as an easy meal. So when the app loads and I see something in the clearing, a long neck extending from a short body and pulling its way towards me, I don't even need to register it to have a knee-jerk reaction of throwing my phone to the floor and clenching my teeth. Enough is enough. I'm just being irrational, stupid, overthinking it just like everyone told me before. There wouldn't have been such a scene if I had just... No, I'm not doing this, I tell myself. Soft moonlight ebbing in from the bedroom window, situated on the opposite side of the condo. I'm not doing this. I look at the app, still opened, and I stare hard at the shape on the screen, expecting a creature or a horrifying specter to appear. Nothing. The road is quiet and there is nothing in the clearing, but Barry is still staring at me, and it's unsettling me more than I care to admit. I don't like things out of their place or positioned wrong. It just sets my teeth on edge, and I feel like pulling every follicle of hair off my body when I can't alter it. I put on some clothes and I saunter downstairs, fiddling with the triple lock on my door and getting to the latch when I hear something that gives me pause. An ever so slight creak on the second step leading up to my condo, an older bit of wood that I intentionally left weaker. I would love to say that it was all part of my plan to catch a thief, but I just enjoyed the sound, and as I said, I hate messing with set things. Now, however, that sound was sending a chill down my spine, and a horrible thought creeped into my head. What if they moved it intentionally? I stepped back and carefully slid the locks back into place, watching my movements as I found a safe place to sit down in my living room, hoping not to make a sound. I waited a good 15 minutes into absolute silence, ears trained to the outside, before I felt safe to move upstairs, my mind thinking back to the incident that set all of this off. How over a decade ago, someone started showing up at my workplace and kept telling me that I was the most special person that they had ever met, that I had such special genes, and they needed to know everything about me. They followed me incessantly wherever I went, knew all of my social media accounts, even the private ones, and they made fresh alts in the same hour, and I would find and block the last, constantly spewing weird prophetic stuff about how I would be the most revered member of their club. I remember the night they broke into my parents' house, waking up to them standing over me in that weird outfit, a smile plastered over their wrinkled and hairy face. I remember wondering why they were smiling as they drew a serrated knife across my thigh and pulled the blood into a small vial before dashing for the door as I screamed the house down. The guy was a well-known nutjob from the homeless community who preached about some church of the Duskwalker, that he knew the all-seeing prophet, and the police had many run-ins with him, so they found him quick enough. He was sent to prison, and that was the end of it, for him at least. It took years of therapy and a new job in an entirely new city to placate me, and even now I struggle. All the defenses in the world can't seem to stop someone when they're obsessed. Walking back up the stairs, punching in the information to call the authorities, my phone notifies me once more. There's a person at your front door. With shaking hands, I open the app and have to put my hand over my mouth to muffle the screams. It's him. He's older and malnourished, but it's absolutely him. Standing on the top of the stairs and leering at me, bent over and neck cocked to the side. But it's his neck. His neck is too long. It's stretched out and there are veins all over it as it extends and pushes his head closer. Deadened eyes and a wide smile greet the camera as it gets closer. What do I do? What the heck do I do? I run upstairs and pull the blankets over my head, phone still in hand, and shakily try to dial 911. But I have no idea what they'll even do if I tell them what I've seen. The phone rings out for what feels like forever when I hear a thumping sound against my window, the unfettered moonlight casting a shadow on my blankets that scars my mind and shocks me into silence. His head is smacking against the window pane, either in an attempt to get my attention or more likely to get inside. Hands pull at the hairs on my head and I dig my face into my knees, begging for it all to stop with every ounce of willpower that I can muster. I rock there back and forth for an age, just repeating the same thing over and over, almost in tandem with his bumps. Stop it. Go away, you're not welcome. It takes some time, but the bumping inexplicably stops and I hear a snapping sound, followed by a low, desperate groan. I feel tears run down my face and blood from where I had bitten my lip as I take in the intoxication of a silent night. There's a person at your front door. Crap. This is designed to break me. Shaking hands open the app and for the first time, I can't contain my scream. It's an eye. A single, bloodied eye with full dilation jammed up against the camera. I can see something writhing in the darkness, twisting and dancing, beckoning to me even as I shriek so loud that lights begin to come on at the McPherson house. Something in the blackness is calling to me, and a part of me wants to go to it. Every logical part of me feels unmitigated fear. My legs are shaking. My heart is pounding so fast that I feel dizzy. As I stand and I can barely hear anything in my ears. Yet I still walk to the door, to whatever is calling me, eyes transfixed on the app as the strange shape beckons me. My hand slips off the first lock. The shape is no clearer, and yet I feel a familiarity within it. The contours in the eye almost inviting. The second lock clicks and release, and a rumble is audible in my ears. I feel comfort and warmth. I pull the chain on the latch and start to open the door to my calling, as the elder McPherson bellows out at the top of his voice. "Hey, who the heck are you? Get away from there, you've got 3 seconds. And a shot rings out that snaps me into consciousness, hand still on the latch, but pulling open the door as a blackened hand slips back through the gap in the door. A horrific howling as it darts off for the tree line. More shots ringing out as I swing open the door, still on instinct. The second scream sounds familiar, and a hot, acidic substance pours down my shirt as my eyes blur and I fall to the ground. Mr. McPherson's wife coming to my aid. It's mine, my scream, my vomit. What was left in the doorbell was an intact eye, stalk and everything, pushed up against the camera with some tape. Black blood pooling on the ground, on the hammock and on Barry. A note had been stamped next to it, something that would force me to move once again and deny any strangeness that had occurred that night. Maybe Sturgeon isn't the best town for me after all. I don't know what it is they see in me, but that question is more than enough to have me prepping to move once again. Do you see what I see?